fundamentals. Name this section as Abhidhamma for meditator. This is the fundamental. So till now we have studied Chitta, Chetsika. Now we study Abhidhamma. So this fundamental issues get completed, then we come to the application of these. Of course, partly we have discussed application along with it, but then we'll focus more on the application. So the matter of the Rupa is generally divided into 28 Dhammas. Next So these are the 28 Dhammas, out of which actually 18 are Dhammas and 10 are their characteristics. So they are not treated as ultimate Dhammas. They are treated as nominal Dhammas because of the special characteristic of Rupa, which is a matter. So what are they are called concretely produced matter, basic Dhammas, which are, they are the four great elements, which we have already known. Then there are four corresponding objective phenomena, which are listed at number 3. Then 5 sensitivity, that is 5 organs of sense.
So 5 is the organs
of sense. Then objective phenomena जो great elements के साथ हैं 4 ही हैं. हालांकि 5 sensitivity हैं वो 4 ही हैं. We don't know why they are 4 only. They should have been 5. Then there is the gender, then the heart, life and nutrition. इसमें यहाँ पे phenomena translate किया हुआ है. You can call it dhammas also. Mahabhutas, Sadhurupas and objectives phenomena and so on. And there are 10. These are attributes of the previous 18 concrete produced matter. So they are not treated as ultimate realities, but for the sake of understanding, they are helpful. So there it is called the space element, then the communication elements, bodily intimation, verbal intimation, then the phenomena which give the flexibility to the body, and the basic 4 characteristics of arising and passing. They are also treated as dhammas. Initial production, then maintenance, then decay and impermanence. So this is how the whole categories of matter can be visualized.
So intimation क्या है?
Communication. Intimation मतलब communication के लिए जैसे हमको आपसे बात करनी है तो there's a facial communication, there's a verbal communication. और उसे कहते हैं bodily communication and verbal communication. So we will then move on to the next.
See, lightness, malleability, they are not.
वहाँ पे आए थे ना mind में भी. They are mental, similar characteristics are in the mind. So those were mental characteristics. Now they are bodily characteristics. Body में भी रहती है lightness, flexibility. So let's study one by one. So firstly, the word term Rupa comes from the word Rupati, it means deforms. So Buddha, when he is asked to give a definition of Rupa, he says that which deforms. So deforms by various means, by heat, by cold, by illness, by weather and so on. So this is all the main characteristic of them, fundamental characteristic is that they consist of 4 great elements, which are called Mahabhutas. We have already studied about them a number of times. You remember? Or Dhatus or Mahabhuta, they are earth, water, fire and wind. Prithvi Dhatu, Apo Dhatu, Agni Dhatu, Tejo Dhatu and Vayu. These are kind of primary building blocks of matter. Just as we talk of quarks and so on, they talk of these because this is what we can experience. And what we can experience solidity, we can experience cohesion, we can experience temperature, we can experience movement. So that's how these qualities are defined. Then we come to one by one each of those elements. So earth element is, you remember, we should remember those characteristics. Now, these are not entities, they are experiences. And those experiences are given a name like that. So the characteristic of earth element is extension, it occupies space. And that is the primary kind of.
So I thought earth element felt heaviness.
Yeah, that is the main element of extension. The main characteristics are hardness. The secondary characteristics include softness, smoothness, roughness, heaviness, lightness, which we feel in our body at various points, and which we feel in touching others and lifting others. भारीपन लगता है, खुरदरापन हो गया, स्मूथ हो गई है, that kind of property is coming in the feeling. So you remember that sutta, Maharaulovada sutta, so this from there. Whatever in our body is hard, solid, rough or soft, such as head, hair, teeth, nails, bones, heart, spleen, has this element as its predominant factor. But other also are present. All the four are always present. And it is not the proportion of it which is, but the intensity. So in things which are solid, earth element has the largest intensity. And excess of earth element in the body will cause hardness, rigidity, and then it is related to the diseases also, arthritis, cardiovascular diseases and so on, because the body stiff physically. So this is the characteristic of earth element. Then we move on to water element or Apo Dhatu. This is a bit tricky because this is not something which you can experience. It is derived by inference. Because if you say, it's said to be have a characteristic of flow or cohesion. Basically, it's cohesion. जैसे आटा रख लो और उसमें पानी डाल दो तो आटे के चीज़ें बिगड़ जाती है ना, वो घुस जाता है. मिट्टी में डाल दो तो घुस जाएगा. ज़्यादा डाल दोगे तो बहना शुरू कर देगा. So that is the way it is recognized. It provides the binding force for other elements. But if it is excess, then it will display the characteristic of flow. Or if the water element is not there, the things will not hold together. They just disintegrate. And so it is said when it is in balance, the other elements go here. When it is in excess, they disperse and flow. So whatever is in the body is of the nature of fluid, उसमें आता है. Maharaulovada में सुनता. It's the nature of water element, urine, blood, and so on. All the things which flow. So this is how the water element is defined. The trouble is that you cannot experience it. If you take water, put your hand, either you will feel its temperature, or you will feel that it is soft. You can't feel that it is cohesive or it is flowing. That is by inference. So you derive this by inference. So the integrity of the element of any body as matter is kept by hot water element. Otherwise, it will just disperse. So this is the way they are understanding. When we have fire element,
so in our modern science, the material can remain intact because of the molecular
top of force.
So how does Earth remain intact from this perspective? Is because water?
Yeah. According to this perspective, it remains any matter. Mountains, they are intact because there is water. This water element and keeping them bound together. So nowadays we talk of endomolecular forces, but they are not experienced. They are just concepts. This is what you can experience. That's the beauty of it. So people don't say it is useless and it's a purani baat. ऐसा नहीं. This you can experience even now. Then the fire element is the characteristic of heat and cold, which we all know. You recently experienced it. And the characteristic of it is that it ripens, matures, digests the food, gets transmitted. And when we eat the food, the body starts getting heated up and all that. So it also manifests as suppleness. Say iron bar ko aap garam karo, food garam karo, to supple होने लगते हैं. So that also is another characteristic. And if it is cold, then things will become rigid. So another name for it is Utu. Utu means climate in terms of temperature. So when we say that cold is also Tejo Dhatu, it means the intensity of Tejo Dhatu being very low, then it manifests as cold. So cold and hot are relative terms. This example is from DV and Mutsumana. During summer season, when people enter the shade, having first stayed in the sun, then they feel cold. Because relatively speaking, it is there.
So Sudhakar had this question that I thought all the elements are defined as that we can experience.
Yeah.
Why an inference is treated as an element?
Yeah. Because they say it is seen. There is a ability of coherence that is seen. जैसे मिट्टी में पानी डाल दो तो जुड़ जाती है, किसी भी मैटर में डाल, so that is seen. So probably the seers were not able to figure out how the matter is cohering. They found out from their own observation. It is not a direct experience but observation. So that way it is defined as that's why the matter is defined in a different manner. This is one property which cannot be experienced directly. Cohesion cannot be experienced directly because of the nature of the senses. The senses are such limited that when you put your hand, you can get temperature of the water, or you can feel it is soft, your hand will go into it.
But you can feel its flow.
You can't feel. You can. Flow is a concept. So when you see the, for example, flow of sensations, it is a concept. Actually, they are arising, passing away in such a manner, just like neon signs. We see a flow in neon sign. It is a concept. So they penetrated that whole observation so deeply that वो flow तुमको लगता है वो है concept.
It is arising. Flow कर रहा है. It's flowing.
It's only a visual concept. Things are arising, molecules are arising, passing away, and that's how they go. That's how the explanation which is given is they arise and then pass away and then arise at the next place. So it gives the appearance of flow. Just as light, if it goes at one place and arises at another, it gives the appearance of flow. So that's how it is explained. Fire element, of course, if this is slow, this is basically Ayurveda also. These are all in consonance with Ayurveda. So if fire element is low, then digestion will be poor and then become weak. And if it is too high, then you are in bed with fever. Then there is wind element. Its main characteristic is movement, pushing and supporting, distension, motion. And there are various kinds of winds which go on in the body due to various reasons. This is all bodily movements are made possible by wind. Made में MAD रह गया, E हट गया. So kindly correct it. So the explanation of Vayu Dhatu also is very interesting. I'll just read out for you. Momentary material dhammas have no time to move from one point to another in space. Just arising passing. They disappear wherever they appear. Therefore, the motion came to be redefined to mean arising of momentary material dhammas in adjacent locations. That is how कोई बात है ना, एक चेन हो अगर नियॉन साइंस की बल्ब्स की और वो एक के बाद एक जलें तो ऐसा लगता है ऐसे मूवमेंट हो रहा है. So this is how they define the movement. So it is an appearance of motion. So therefore it is said, if you penetrate deeper, that air element is not motion but the cause of arising of dhammas in the adjacent location, which gives the appearance of motion. This is how the deeper explanations are given in the literature. So these are the four great elements, and generally to explain, it is said our bodies or any matter has its foundation, the earth element, which serves as the basis for all other three elements. It is held together by cohesion of water element and maintained by fire element. The fire element digests and creates newer matter and so on. And it is made mobile by wind element. And therefore all the four need to be in balance. If they are not in balance, the health will not be good. So to ensure health of the body, all the four elements are essential. And they depend on physical and also mental factors. And therefore, there is always a relationship of mind and climate and food to the health. So this was the four great elements are understood. And in terms of the outside the body, it is said if these four elements are not in balance, it will cause irregularity in the natural cycles, weather, atmosphere, the storms, and sea, things, excess of wind element will cause a storm. Excess of fire element will cause what we experienced last few days. So that's how the explanations are given in this domain. So these are the four great Mahabhutas, and there are other concretely produced matter, which are concrete, which are actual elements. So then there are sense field matters. I have changed the order in which it is given there because I felt that would be easier to understand. So the four sense field matters are the four objective phenomena associated with senses. Now with eyes there is a visible object, ear there is sound, with nose there is smell, with tongue there is taste, and with touch there are tangible objects. But say these tangible objects are not independent, because they are defining elements as those which are irreducible. The tangible object actually consists of combination of earth, fire and wind elements. We said that cannot be called as another element. So therefore only four objective phenomena are defined.
Then what happens to the feeling of touch?
That is resulting from combination of earth, fire and wind elements. It is not an independent thing like sound is different, sight is different, smell is different, the taste is different, touch is somehow not different. It is a combination of other factors. So that's
It doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like the combination of any of those four. Because we have its own.
See when you see bodily sensations, what do you feel? Either heaviness or vibration or heat or tingling. They're all made up of that. अभी मुझे तो बैठ जाए क्या महसूस हो रहा है? भारीपन महसूस हो रहा है, यहाँ पे मूवमेंट महसूस हो रही है. Movement is predominance of वायु धातु, heaviness is predominance of पृथ्वी धातु, हीट लग रही है या कोल्ड लग रहा है, predominance of तेजो धातु. सो जो भी टेंजिबल ऑब्जेक्ट के हमारे को एक्सपीरियंस है वो इसी तीन कैटेगरी का है. दैट्स व्हाई दिस इज डिफाइंड इन दिस मैनर. Is there anything else we experience? Just see, just look back and feel at this moment what is happening. Is there any experience which is other than these three kinds? All the bodily experience of these.
So effectively then it boils down to only two, earth and fire.
Wind is there, no? Movement for me.
Earth, fire and wind.
Yeah. Movements are happening.
But water we cannot experience.
That's why to make things absolutely structured and clear, said. You can try and verify if you get any other experience. And since our analysis is of experience, so this is it. They are not saying this is the final reality and nature of truth and all. They don't have the idea. They don't have the idea of telling you this. The idea of ultimate nature of experience. So it's not like metaphysics, ultimate nature of the world. ऐसा कुछ नहीं.
But since externally में तो water exist करता है. एक्सटर्नली में जैसे
हाँ वो दिखता है,
नहीं सर, अगर फ्लो नहीं भी कर रहा तो वाटर तो एग्जिस्ट करता ही है।
कैसे एग्जिस्ट करेगा, पता कैसे चलेगा? उठाओगे तो भारीपन लगेगा, टच करोगे तो ठंडा लगेगा, तो सॉफ्टनेस लगेगी। लेकिन क्योंकि फ्लूइडिटी है, अपरेंट है, तो इसलिए उसको दिए। और उसका जो मेन उसका एक्सपीरियंस के हिसाब से नहीं, बट मैटर की एग्जिस्टेंस के हिसाब से तो आवश्यक है। कोहिजन जोड़ता है सब चीज़ों, जोड़ने वाली कोई चीज़ नहीं है इन बाकियों में, अर्थ में, एयर में, फायर में जोड़ने वाली चीज़ें नहीं, इसलिए उसको एक एलिमेंट मान लिया गया। Because you're not happy with this. Then the next one is life phenomena, quite obvious.
नहीं सर, ऑब्वियस नहीं है सर, सबसे मुश्किल है।
हम जी रहे हैं। See the interesting thing, they have defined life faculty for matter is different and for mind, you remember? वहाँ पे भी जीवित इंद्रिय थी, mind में भी, यहाँ पे भी. So and here the difference is this life faculty is present only in sentient beings, not in inanimate matter. So that is the distinction which is now made. What is its जीवित इंद्रिय characteristic?
So जो इनेट मैटर में लाइफ फिनोमेना होता है उसको क्या बोलते हैं सर? इसको जीवित,
लाइफ फिनोमेना नहीं है,
ये तो जीवित इंद्रिय है।
हाँ, जो जैसे प्लांट्स है, प्लांट्स में जीवित इंद्रिया है, पत्थर में नहीं, फाउंटेन में नहीं. So and it's called a faculty because it is a dominating influence. तो ये नहीं होगा तो सब कहानी खत्म. So it's called जीवित इंद्रिय. बाकियों को तो धातु का, इसको इंद्रिय का मतलब जो prominent, it permeates the whole of the body, and that means finished. My faculty is no longer operating.
But sir, then how is वो जो जिसको जो सारा कंफ्यूजन होता है कि व्हाट इज डेथ, बिकॉज क्या ब्रेन डेड डेथ होता है, हार्ट को रुकना डेथ होता है, कई बार रिकवर करके डॉक्टर फिर रिवाइव भी कर लेते हैं. So how does that relate to the जीवित इंद्रिय?
It means when it is absence forever. It may be absence for a few moments में होती है because it's a faculty which arises, passes away, arises, passes away. वो तो है ही है ना. तो अगर वो कुछ moments तक बॉडी चलती है तो चलती है, but when it is finished for, that's why it is a dumb finished forever. It doesn't arise again because according to them even life faculty is arising, passing. हमको तो ऐसे लगता है ना continuously है. It is arising, passing, arising at a very rapid rate, so rapid that it doesn't really matter. And obviously it is different from the psychic faculty. It maintains the mental states and things of that kind. When it comes to nutritional phenomena, it is the nutritive essence of edible foods which maintain the growth of new matter in our body.
There is some people trying to ask some question. No question. No question.
So I written it is evergreen, pure, octet, kalapa उसको कहा जाता है. तो kalapa को अगले इसमें explain किया because of the importance of that.
The questions are any relationship between quarks or quantum physics and the four elements earth, water.
Your guess is as good as mine. Quarks के भी तो नाम अजीबोगरीब है उनके. There's no idea, charm and this and up and down and this and that. It's all their fantasies, I would say. इसमें देखे तो ना. And the interesting thing is, their quarks are also 6 and they are always existing together. They can't exist separately. यहाँ पे कलापा में 8 elements है, they always exist together. So in fact, one of the Nobel laureates called it that he wrote a paper on Eightfold Path and Matter. Glenn Murray का paper था वो बहुत famous. He said it almost of that kind.
This is Daka's question.
And the question is that Jivit Indriya is a continuation from parents or from mind.
Kamma, it is a faculty which arises out of our own kamma, and that's why it is fixed. At the time of our birth, how much of Jivit Indriya life faculty is originally based on our past kamma. So, and it maintains that kamma produced matter which is arising from the birth.
But then the question is that the Jivit Indriya which we just talked, how does that originate versus the Jivit Indriya which we talked right in
the mind.
In the mind.
Yeah. This Jivit Indriya supports that. If the body is dead, mind cannot exist. Mind may get blank, but body may still exist. So this is the supporting factor.
So who comes first? That question arises.
They arise simultaneously together. So that is a question of what happens at death. So as I put down in notes, every being's life is maintained by this karma-produced life faculty. When it terminates, we say the being dies, and its body is said to be lost.
ये दोनों जगह कैसे आ गए? यूनिवर्सल मेंटल फैक्टर में भी और यहाँ रूप में भी?
वहाँ पे तो दूसरी है ना, वो सेम नहीं है. नाम सेम है जीवित इंद्रिय, but that is psychic and is matter. This is the life faculty which supports the body. That is the life faculty which supports the mental activity. So they could recognize there the possibility कि mental activity खत्म भी हो सकती है, बंदा फिर चल रहा है, जैसे कोमा में चला गया या ब्रेन डैमेज हो गई, लेकिन मर नहीं रहा है. So they could recognize the possibility.
But the other way around is not possible.
The person's heart is finished.
Actually, other way around का कोई तरीका नहीं है पता करने का. अगर बॉडी नहीं है, तो ये can't figure out it.
बॉडी में जीवित इंद्रिय नहीं है, but mind कहीं एग्जिस्ट कर सकता है बिना जीवित इंद्रिय के.
उसको तो फॉर्म तो है नहीं, फॉर्मलेस चीजों को कैसे पता चलेगा?
जितने
भी नियर डेथ एक्सपीरियंसेस वाले हैं वो इसी तरह कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट कर देते हैं ना कि अभी हम देख के आए हैं, ये हुआ है, वो पता नहीं क्या हुआ. Never know.
The Sudhakar is saying that kamma has physical aspect going from one body to another.
Yeah, that will come in more detail. Yeah, that is true, of course. That will come together when we discuss about the mind processes as application of all that. But that is true. Immediate responses, of course. The kamma which arises at the time of death, just before death, that determines the next Pratisandhi Citta which will arise, which is the linking consciousness. Sankhara Bhattya Vijnana. Sankhara which arises just before death will cause the next Vijnana to arise. And that next Vijnana arises because this body is finished. Jivit Indriya has gone away, so it cannot sustain. So that next consciousness arises in the next body. So that carries all the signature of all the kamma which is held in the mind stream, carries it together to the next.
But sir, how do we increase the population?
They say that it is because there are billions of non-human existences going on. Humans becoming animals and animals becoming humans is a common phenomenon according to the Buddhist lore.
So does it mean that the total number is constant?
Unanswerable questions. For that you'll have to contact a Buddha. No answer. And इनसे तुम्हें क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है?
He would say that.
Why are you interested in this?
Sir, Amit has a question. Implication of the knowledge of the four elements for our meditation practice.
We'll come to that. There is a four-element practice in Satipatthana. Because that basic idea is to disperse the feeling of solidity. No? I am. The biggest attachment is with the body. And if you see a body we are आती जाती रहती है कभी कुछ उठता है कभी कुछ उठता है तो है क्या उसमें कुछ नहीं है. So you then begin to see कि attachment to body is like being attached to electron. आजकल की भाषा में अगर कहें तो किससे अटैच हो रहे. So that basically the whole idea of all this exercise is to deconstruct the notion of individuality at various levels. At body. Very powerful. तो जो हमारे सतिपट्ठान में तो आता है ना धातु मनसिकार बद्धम. That is exactly what it is being done. Then we talk of this. I have added something which is partially correct. I mean, at this stage it is correct. Then we'll amend it later. So I have just as हमने वहाँ पे देखे ना universal characteristics. So I put down. Normally वो ऐसा लिखते नहीं है, but मुझे लगा हमारे समझ के लिए अच्छा रहेगा. So there are universal dhammas which are present in all matter. So we should know. 4 great elements and 4 types of derived vibhava. It is color, smell, taste, nutrients. So these 8 dhammas form what is called a kalapa.
So what is last one?
Nutritive essence. भोजन के अंदर जो तत्व है जो न्यूट्रिशन देता है which supports the growth of new matter. So in all things, this nutritive essence is always there in growth of new matter. So these 8 dhammas form what is called an octet kalapa. Ashtakalapa, they are this. And they are inseparable and arise and cease together. Just as there we had universal mental factors. So similarly these you can say. So they are the basic constituents of inanimate matter.
So Ashtakalapa is
and they are the basic constituents of inanimate matter. When it is animate matter, there is one more thing added, Jivitindriya. So in animate matter, there will be always 9 elements, minimum. Then there will be others also, out of the other which we will study. So this is how the explanation is given. So written here the notes if you read. In modern physics, the basic building blocks of matter are quarks. There are 6 quarks. Their names are up, down, strain, charm, top, bottom. These are what they are in classified. And the 6 corresponding anti-quarks. So they ultimately say there are these 12 things which build up the whole universe. So here they are saying there are 8 things. Then we come to the sensitive phenomena. The senses which we have, 5 senses, so I think we know. Now we can identify what does a whole sensitive phenomena will mean. There will be 9 elements in it. The 5 sense basis, because it is sensitive phenomena means only sentient beings. So 9 basic elements and 1 sensitivity phenomena. So when you say eye sensitivity, there are 10 constituents. Similarly, nose sensitivity, ear sensitivity, there are 10 dhammas which are building together to constitute that eye sensitivity. So the balance of these 10 things will enable us to see or hear or smell. Anything goes wrong, there will be a problem. The ability will be impaired or completely done away with. अगर eye sensitivity नहीं है तो
आई सेंसिटिविटी में स्मेल का क्या रोल होगा?
हाँ नहीं है वो those elements are present always. Earth, air, fire, water are always present. And 4 characteristics are also present. The characteristics of the senses, 4 of them. Color is always present. Smell. Any matter will have certain color, will have certain smell, will have certain taste, and some nutritive essence. Kuch bhi dekho. Any matter. So that's how it is seen. But any matter will have these 4 characteristics. If the eye sensitivity is present, then eye will operate and will be able to see. Similarly, if no sensitivity and so on. So they actually are said to constitute 10 elements. So this is about how it is described. And eye sensitivity does not mean eye. I think we had discussed it earlier. It means the sensitive matter behind the retina, which in modern science you will say which convert the signal received at the retina into electrical signals. So that you will call as eye sensitivity.
So Sudhakar has a question. A blind person is missing his eye sensitivity.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And a person who is seeing it very poorly, eye sensitivity faculty will be, or there is an imbalance in other. तो बाकी elements में भी imbalance हो जाएगा तो देखने में दिक्कत हो जाती है ना कई बार. You see, many times because of some bodily imbalance, person is not able to see clearly. Then these objective material phenomena, which we have discussed already. Then we come to the sexual phenomena, this femininity and masculinity. They are also independent matter, which give the characteristic of male and female. Then we come to the heart phenomena, which is a very contentious subject because काफी different views हैं literature में. Those so-called Hridayavatthu. They said that Hridayavatthu or heart base, just as there is eye base, there is a heart base. It's not heart. It is a heart base where the thoughts reside, where the mind operates from. It is support for mind element and mind consciousness. So it is a heart base decayed will be, there will be all other 9 plus heart base will be there. So then that is the constitution of the heart base.
So this heart base is the
seat of mind. It is said to be the
seat of mind, और जिस तरह से हम आजकल यूज करते हैं तरीकों की emotions, seat of emotions.
It is it is a kind of, again, one of the they say for most of us it is a kind of inference. जैसे आपने कहा emotion अगर heart में feel होता है तो उसने कहा कि हाँ सोचना जो है heart से होता हो. This is the way we understand and explain. So नहीं point नहीं. There is a kind of यहाँ पे कहते हैं ना solar plexus जिसे वो लोग कहते हैं. So this is some region where it is said to be the heart. When you meditate deeply, we know when you put attention there, the thoughts begin to come very rapidly. But whether it is really some storage there or not, storage का कोई concept ही नहीं है. It is arising and passing away all the time.
Thoughts को दिमाग में नहीं आते हैं.
हाँ, वो arise pass away होते हैं ना. वो लगता है कि हमको stored तो वो chain जो हमारी mental stream is stored. उनका impact.
इसलिए heart base का concept तो सिर्फ अभिधम्मा नहीं हमारे इसमें भी है ना. रमन महर्षि भी बहुत बोलते हैं.
हाँ. Vedanta में भी we say it is in the heart that everything is stored. So it is something which probably we all experience, but modern science does not experience. That is the trouble. They don't say कि heart में क्या है, कुछ भी तो नहीं है, ऐसे फालतू में बता रखा है. यहाँ पे कुछ है.
मॉडर्न साइंस का जो हार्ट है वो तो अलग है सर.
हाँ. और जो वो सटल चीज है ना, हार्ट बेस इज सटल थिंग. नाउ दैट दे कांट रियलाइज. तो वो कहा जाता है कि अच्छा ब्लड के अंदर ही है.
वो तो ऑर्गन है ना, इनके हिसाब से हार्ट हो गया तो एक ऑर्गन
फिजिकल ऑर्गन है ना. तो हार्ट का नाम ऐसे दिया गया ना, तो वो जो इवन दिस चक्रा इज इशू पीपल आर नॉट इन मॉडर्न साइंस इज नॉट इन पोजीशन टू फिगर आउट कि क्या होता है.
मॉडर्न साइंस इसको चक्रास को सम नर्व सेंटर्स इन द स्पाइनल कॉर्ड तो बोलती हो.
हां, बट हार्ट बेस का कुछ क्लियर नहीं है. यहाँ पे मुझे मालूम पड़ा है कि हार्ट बेस के बारे में कोई क्लैरिटी नहीं है. इवन इन सरप्राइजिंगली इन द ओरिजिनल अभिधम्मा दिस इज नॉट फाउंड. हार्ट बेस इज नॉट फाउंड. देयर आर ओनली 27. इट इज एडेड इन द commentary literature.
So Siddhartha has a question. What explains the lack of sweetness after few sips of chai?
Say it again.
What explains the lack of sweetness after few sips of chai?
That is basically relative effect. You take very high sweet, then the tongue gets coated with the same thing as going from sun to shade. Weather is not changed, but the effect is reduced. Because this tongue sensitivity gets biased in a way, you can say, so perceives it wrong. The thing which is troubling scientists is, I've tried to write it down somewhere, there are cases of heart transplant recipients which inherit the characteristics of the donor. तो वो उनको समझ नहीं आया ये क्या हो गया. आजकल हार्ट ट्रांसप्लांट होने लग गया ना, तो जो डोनर था उसके जो मेंटल स्टेट्स थी वो उसमें समाउ रिसिपिएंट में आने लग गई, तो वो कंफ्यूज रहे क्या हो रहा है, तो हार्ट में है क्या कुछ, ये कंफ्यूजन हो गया साइंस में. So I found it interesting. So I put down in notes some of these things. I'm not reading out all of them. So in Abhidhamma they talk of 27, but in commentarial literature they have put 28. Vishuddhi Magama basically. So it is the location of the heart base is kind of inferred, but maybe some people might be able to figure it out. I don't know. At least the literature says it is inferred. देयर इज ए फिजिकल बेस, ये बात तो आती है पठान, बट क्या है वो नहीं लिखा हुआ. तो कमेंट्रीज में कहा गया है कि वो हृदय वस्तु. दैट्स हाउ इट इज कम टू रिकॉग्नाइज.
So hृदय वस्तु is not पठान में as a
27 ही एलिमेंट्स हैं.
अच्छा 28 है नहीं.
अभिधम्मा पिटक में 27 एलिमेंट्स. They became 28 in Pali commentaries. So in the same manner, just as we identify these octards, we can identify other, octards and hearing and seeing and all other elements. I've just put them down for somebody who is interested. We don't want to get into details of that. I've just put them down. So you can study them later. So what are the general comments on this? Let's come to that. The 5 sensitivities, the gender phenomena, the heart base and life faculty originate due to karma performed in previous lives. This I have added for the sake of clarity. And all these concretely produced matter are dhammas, they are real dhammas. They are not nominal things, they are not concepts. They have an intrinsic nature. They have the characteristic of anicca, dukkha, anatta. They are directly produced by conditions such as karma, consciousness, temperature, nutriment. They are all subject to change and they can be comprehended by insight knowledge. So this is how they are called concretely produced matter. Why we are discussing it is because there are non-concretely produced matter also.
So, but when you say that the karma produced in the previous lives, so the karma produced in the previous lives gives rise to
first matter which arises at the birth.
So karma produces matter.
Yeah, mind produces matter. That we'll see further also. We'll discuss it more. The matter originate कैसे होता है? Karma is one of the, for living being, karma is the most prominent thing. Food is secondary. Temperature is another thing. Temperature होता है तभी food digest होगा, तो matter produce होगा. Otherwise, for living beings, karma is the prominent thing, which relinks the past life and new life. At that time, mind produces matter. संखार पच्चया विज्ञाना, विज्ञान पच्चया नाम रूप. नाम रूप आ गया ना, नाम भी है ना, रूप भी आ गया.
Now is mind.
Various mental factors. So why we are discussing, as I said, there are non-concretely produced matter which are actually attributes. So as I have written there, if you see that transition slide, they are mere attributes of पिछली वाली slide. Written there. They are mere attributes of concretely produced matter. So they are not classified as ultimate realities and cannot become the object of meditation. They are nominal things, but classified as parts of Rupa because of their great importance. They are therefore called sometimes nominal Rupa, the attributes. So what are these? First is space element. A very surprising thing to see. That space element is seen as a non-concretely, of course it is non-concretely, but it is not seen as a in the Abhidhammic literature, it is not seen as a fundamental dhatu like earth, air, fire, water. They say it essentially is a void region which delimits and separates the various kalapas. So there are various kalapas and there is a void in between them, and that we call, for the sake of understanding, as a space element.
So this is different than say Ayurveda. Ayurveda में space का बहुत role काफी ज़्यादा है. Given equal importance to air, fire, water.
But it is said that it has its own nature. So how nature is space? A very prominent reason. It has its importance, of course. It has its importance in this also. Because if there is no space between, you can't break anything and get it into parts. Because space ही ना हो तो कैसे निकलेगा? The very fact that there is a space between atoms means you can break it and get into parts. So it has great importance. But they don't classify it as Dhamma because it has no characteristics. So कोई स्वभाव ही नहीं है. So that is the main reason. It is neither of the nature of materiality nor of its own characteristics. So there, delimitation of matter. So only as a convention it is presented as a conditioned Dhamma. So it is actually a conceptual construct. So what is it saying? There are so many Rupa Kalapas in our body. How do we distinguish between them? Because there is space. So it has a great importance. But unfortunately you can't call it anything. That is the reason. So it is due to space element that lumps of stone and metal can be broken or cut into pieces. So then there are intimating material phenomena, or we can say communication. And there are two types of communication, bodily as well as verbal. So they are also identified as attributes. But they are seen not as independent, they arise because of various elements operating together. So bodily intimation is through nodding, bending the arm, moving the hand, going forward, so as to reveal our intention to others. And verbal is of course through words we speak out. In each of these cases, various kalapas arise. Bodily movement means wind will arise, and all those kind of. The speaking will mean earth element. That's sound element. Earth element will be there. Sound is the object. So element will be arising through the. So the earth element is seen to be an important element in verbal intimation. So then they explain in full detail. When a thought arises that I want to speak, then that thought sets up material phenomena. And that will cause earth element to rise and get into throat, and then words will come out. That's how it is explained. If the consciousness originated earth element arises while impinging the physical apparatus, and that produces the vocal sound. Similarly, when you want to think, I want to move, then that consciousness, that intention of moving produces wind element, and that causes the movement. This is how these intimations are explained. Then we have mutable material phenomena, those properties of lightness, malleability, and which we have discussed in mind. Same properties in matter also existence. So they are of importance for us from the point of view of health and disposition. If the body is rigid and you are ill, some problem is there. So it says the balance of all these three characters. Neither it should be so malleable कि हिले जा रही है जो physical dystrophy हो जाती है ना muscles में टिक ही नहीं रहे हैं वो फैले ही जा रहे हैं. So that is an imbalance of these qualities which is responsible for different kinds of illnesses associated with the bodily malfunction. So when the great elements are in balance, then they appear, and then you have better health and present disposition. And then lastly, there are these four characteristics of matter: that is production, continuity, decay, and impermanence. First two deal with the birth, the other two deal with the decay and death. In plants, instead of four, it is said there are five elements. Because production takes place in two stages. First is the seed to sprout, and then is the sprout to the seed germinating, and then is the sprout forming.
जी दोनों में differentiate क्यों किया?
They say that this is what is happening there. In other cases, in human beings, that doesn't happen. In birds also, production is of two stages. Egg is produced, then the bird arises. In mammals, it doesn't happen. That's how it is said. Maybe because of that reason. I think we know about all this stuff, well. Decay and impermanence we are feeling all the time. Then we come to the general comments on matter. वो आ रहा है कि इसमें कुछ खराब आ रहा है? So the comments which are kind of a summary of all that is, unlike individual consciousnesses which can only arise one at a time, many particles can arise within our body at the same time. The body is a collection of rupakalapas arising and passing away at a tremendous speed. And unlike consciousness, matter is rootless. Mental states have a root, wholesome or unwholesome. There's nothing like that, no wholesome or unwholesome. And it arises with four causes, just as other things arise. There are so many universal factors which give rise to various things. Similarly, here also there are certain universal factors. Four basic Mahabhutas, and then they are derived causes. Next, you can just go.
So Silesh has a question: if mind body is interconnected, why is it rootless? It means no karma.
Yeah, the mind and body are influencing each other, but it is rootless in the sense that matter does not have anything other than just as there are roots of craving, aversion, and delusion there, which have very strong effect and hold on to the mental states. Here, there are no such things. So that is why it is said to be rootless. Next thing.
So this one also.
Fine. Then there are matter can be an object of defilement. You know that. Then we can get attracted towards various kinds of matter, and it pertains to sense sphere. It does not exist in the other Rupo Brahmaloka and Arupa Brahmaloka. This sense sphere matter that we're talking about. The Chitta can know an object, matter cannot know that. It's quite obvious. Though it may have life faculty, still it cannot know. It doesn't have the ability to know, cognition ability. And it's not something like defilements which can be eradicated, can't eradicate. Conservation of matter, so to say, is it arises, passes away, arises, passes away. Then what are the causes of origination of matter? So this is what we were mentioning earlier also. The four causes are there: Kamma, consciousness, fire, or Teja Dhatu, and nutriment. I think we can easily understand this. All of the Kamma produced matter which arise from volitions of 12 unwholesome chittas, 8 great unwholesome chittas, 5 fine material chittas, all the chittas which you state, they all can produce matter correspondingly of various kinds. And it is this Kamma which determines the sex, the lifespan, the health, the temperament, physical appearance of a human being in conformity with the deeds done in the past. So that's time relinking is what is going to really determine the starting consciousness and the starting health. मतलब कोई बच्चा मान लीजिए पैदा होता है जिसमें कुछ physical defect है, so it is seen to be in this thought process, it is seen to be a result of past karma. Somebody's eyes are not there, somebody's hands are not there, or whatever is a problem, it is seen to be a result of past karma. Then we know consciousness, they already studied various kinds of chittas, so they'll produce matter in appropriate kalapa according to the nature of consciousness. Sometimes earth element will be more, or this element will be more, and therefore accordingly the impact of the consciousness on the body will be different. So this, for example, intention to move, as I said, it creates more of a vayu dhatu. Intention to speak creates more of earth dhatu, prithvi dhatu. And when we get angry, teja dhatu arises. So you can see that you can know that can be system. When you practice loving kindness, mind gets calm and quiet. There's a cold element, so to say, and it restores the balance between an angry mind and calm mind. That's the kind of difference which arises. The fire element is one of the most important in producing matter, which we know, digestion and production of matter, and it is said to be also equally important in non-sentient beings. Here there is a interesting thing. The trees are not supposed to be conscious beings. They have a life faculty, but of the matter kind, they don't have a life faculty of the mind kind. So they don't think, they don't have consciousness, though they have life faculty. So that's the distinction that has been made.
But so trees also have responded to, in many experiments, to emotions and.
Yeah, there have been experiments of that kind, and what they say, what the Abhidhamma basically says, that it is the effect of external matter on the. So the
emotions
matter created by emotion. Matter created by emotion is affecting me. That's what I think is. It's not. I didn't get any explanation of it. So because what they say is that they don't have consciousness, and so they are not part of cycle of birth and death.
So trees are not part of cycle of rebirth.
They say that in in some cases where the reasoning is given, which may sound very funny, is that the effect which they have given of the plants influence their emotion, loving kindness, and things of that kind. It is because there are Rukha Devtas living in the tree. And they feel happy, and therefore they plants life response to that. There is no kind of explanation available in the literature. But one thing becomes clear: the difference between meat and vegetables becomes clear. We used to say loosely, na, trees are also conscious, animals are also conscious. Kya farak hai? The difference in consciousness. They are physically conscious but not mental. There is no mind in the tree. In the animal there is a mind, there is a consciousness of that order. So when you distinguish between consciousness and life faculty, then there is difference. So there is a physical life faculty, but mental life faculty. So that way there is a difference between trees and plants and the And non-sentient matter is, of course, means there is no life activity at all. Stones and mountains. And the last reason for origination of matter is, of course, nutrition. It's quite obvious. Nutrition for all the beings, and as in case of any other Dhamma, there are more than one cause, so many dukkhas can be produced. So it's not one cause producing one, if you have already studied in the basic characteristic of it. So the lady said a very beautiful analogy to explain all these factors together. Says physical body is like a tree, Kamma is like the seed, fire element is like the earth which supports the tree, nutritive essence is like the rainwater which falls regularly, keep the regularly, वो continuously नहीं चाहिए होता, बीच में चाहिए. And mind is like the atmosphere and the sun which support it from outside. So it's a beautiful analogy given by Lady Sahib. बहुत अच्छा लगा. It gives you clarity of the role of, because from the seed, tree you can easily understand. So Kamma is like the seed, basic origin तो वहीं से शुरू होगा. And fire element is the support, keeps on giving support. And जो भोजन है वो पानी की तरह है, बीच में चाहिए, उसके बगैर भी काम नहीं चलेगा. And mind is like the atmosphere and the sun which supports it from outside.
So he's saying dead meat is devoid of both physical and mental जीवित इंद्रियास.
Yeah, that is true. So animals की बात होती है ना, between animals and plants, distinction between animals and plants.
Difference के animals और plants में.
Animals में चित्त है, plants में चित्त नहीं.
But sir, once what Sudhakar is saying, the meat is dead.
Already dead, yeah.
Already dead.
That's
पर उस चित्त का क्या फायदा जब उनका कुछ
no, फायदे की बात करो, समझ रहे हैं distinction. I'm not thinking of getting out. So I think probably I should have written between animals and that's true. And उसमें लिखा ना difference between meat and vegetables. I should have written difference between animals and vegetables. That was in better statement. So मैं तो correct कर देता हूँ.
So what Sudhakar is saying, but plant has physical जीवित इंद्रिया.
Animals and plants, yeah. Yeah, so to that extent, because but they don't have any possibility of mental pain being felt and things of that kind. So the extent of violence, if you want to say, is much lesser in that sense. That's why the Buddha never advised people to cut the trees or do anything. The very famous, when monk had gone to a forest, तो पेड़ को branches काटने शुरू हो गए, मुझे इसके नीचे बैठना है, ठीक ठाक करना. So the रुख देवता जो पेड़ में था वो उसको कहने लगा क्या कर रहे हो तुम, काम कर रहे हो, कहना है. और monks आते हैं वो भी करते हैं तो बहुत परेशान. Then he goes to Buddha and tells him देखो क्या कर रहे हैं तुम्हारे monks. And Buddha calls them and tells them don't do such things.
So Sudhakar's continued question is, where is this purity and impurity with regard to food comes from?
It is basically revolution. That's why Buddha said for monks चीज जो मिल रहा है खा लो. बट अगर तुम्हारे कहने पे कोई तुमने कहा कि मुझे वो अच्छा लगता है और वो खाया तुमको दिया जा रहा है और किसी एनिमल को मार के तो तुम्हारे नाम चलेगा. So that becomes because you're then eating things out of taste and destroying life with our
But then sir, if it means कि if there's a buffet, आप वहाँ पे vegetarian खा रहे हो और non vegetarian खा रहे हो तो उसमें कोई फर्क नहीं होगा.
According to this, yes. According to Buddha, it won't matter because you're not ordered.
तो नॉर्मली फिर जैसे डेली लाइफ में लोग खाते हैं नॉनवेज तो फिर खुद मारते क्यों नहीं है?
हाँ
मतलब
इसीलिए तो बुद्धिस्ट बट लेटर ऑन महायाना में इसको चेंज कर दिया गया कि हम खाने से डायरेक्टली तो नहीं मार रहे बट वी आर निवेदशील की बात जो है वी आर इन ए वे इनडायरेक्टली एनकरेजिंग पीपल टू किल सो वी शुड abstain. So, and even in Buddha's teaching you find that for householders killing animals was not supposed to be done. Even rearing animals for slaughter was used to be a wrong livelihood. So considering the whole structure of the society, the Shilas were devised in that manner that slowly people should move in that direction. So Mahayana people have therefore moved in that direction. So what is the origination of Chitta and Chetsika? And just read further. Three things are needed: past karma, basis to depend upon, and an object. The basis is provided by the body, and object is the external object, whichever arises. So the analogy again same thing. First is like a seed, the basis is like the earth, and object is like the rainwater. Same thing I have just redefined with respect to Chitta and Chetsika.
So Amit has a question. In buffet, we don't eat non-veg. The lesser demand will discourage others to kill animals in future.
That is the logic being used in Mahayana streams. Therefore, we should avoid. But then there is the other problem that the monks are supposed to eat whatever they get. So there is a kind of conflict between two conflicting requirements. So Buddha choose the one. Monks को कोई selection नहीं करनी है. But for householders, his advice was very clear.
अगर monks को कोई solution नहीं करनी है तो जो वो नॉनवेज खाते हैं तो इसका जो कर्म फल है वो उनको भुगतना होगा.
वो उस हिसाब से तो नहीं खा रहे हैं. They are not eating it. They are not saying that they are doing it. It's not animal should be killed for them. It is already there. That is the kind of logic which is used. It can be questioned definitely. It can definitely question. But physically तो clear है कि नॉनवेज खाने से पेट खराब होता है, इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं. नॉनवेज खाने से बीमारियां होती हैं, इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है, वो तो क्लियर है. इसलिए मैं वो हार्वर्ड की जो फिल्म है माइंडफुल ईटिंग वाली वो बच्चों को दिखाता हूँ.
पशु की जैसे प्रवृत्ति आती है ना,
हाँ उसका फर्क the food which you eat, whatever are the kalapas there, they will affect you. That nutritional essence will be of that kind. So that will be there. Okay, now we come to more difficult things which we will discuss later. Just mentioning it here. One thing is clear: mind arises dependent on matter, except in the immaterial worlds. Where matter के तो mind होगा, except in the Arupa Brahma Loka, just to many knowledge. And there is interdependence of mind and matter. That also is clear. This is the thing which is, you may say, कहाँ से आ गया? Duration of lifespan of matter is equal to 17 moments of chitta. This they say is what they have observed. So it is a kind of experience, not a theory. That's another very important thing is consciousness can produce matter, but matter cannot produce consciousness.
ऐसा क्यों? ये तो बड़ा ये हुआ कि हम जिस तरह का खाना खाते हैं इस तरह की हमें कॉन्शियसनेस होती है. अगर तीखा खाना खाते हैं
कॉन्शियसनेस नहीं, उस तरह के सेंसेशन होते हैं. रूप कलाप उस तरह के जागते हैं, उनके प्रति हम प्रतिक्रिया करते हैं तो फिर उस तरह का हमारा चित्त बनने लगता है. तो इसलिए अगर आप एक अनंत को मिट्टी भी खिला दोगे, मिर्ची भी खिला दोगे तो उसको कॉन्शियसनेस खराब नहीं होने वाला. भगवान को दोनों प्राणी क्या क्या खिला दिया था, पॉइजनस चीजें भी खिला दी. Didn't unsettle him and he get worried and upset. So it will affect the body definitely. अगर आप मिर्च वाला खाना खाओगे तो अग्नि धातु जागेगी और दिक्कत होगी. अब उस पर आप प्रतिक्रिया करोगे तो नेचुरली चित्त खराब हो जाएगा. It's a very important distinction because science ने अभी भी अधिकतर साइंटिस्ट यही मानते हैं कि कॉन्शियसनेस इज प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय ब्रेन एंड द कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी ऑफ ब्रेन. Though it is now breaking down, there is a whole range of scientists who believe consciousness is the fundamental element. So you can see the relationship of all that you have done to practice. Here, Dhatu Mansikara Pabdam, similarly a butcher selling the meat. So all that is basically to explain that various dhatus give right to matter. There is no essence of it. Solidity is only apparent. Then in Dhammanupassana we had Ayatan Pabdam, various ayatans. So you see there also matter interacting with the external world. So then we had the arising of. So when we say we touch anything, we touch this, we are not touching a matter object, we are touching experience. Our experience is hardness, softness, heat, cold, and this. So everything else is a concept. This is a concept, book is a concept, I am a concept, my body is a concept. Experience is the reality. So that's how the distinction is made. So in Mahasatipatthana Sutta, we think, the tanha arises at sense stores and at each sense sphere, and at each sense sphere contact, thoughts are directed to various objects. So all these things we studied in Satipatthana Sutta. So they are all being explained and its root. Vijnana Sankhara Pachya Vinyanam जैसे हमने पढ़ा था, and Vinyana Pachya नाम रूप. तो विज्ञान से नाम रूप पैदा होता है. विज्ञान के साथ नाम तो हो गए दूसरे मेंटल फैक्टर्स, रूप हो गया गॉड. नाम रूप पच्चय सलायतन, 6 senses. जो 6 senses are described. सलायन पच्चय फस, फस पच्चय वेदना, वेदना पच्चय खाना पच्चय बादान पच्चय भव, भव पच्चय जाप.
सर अगर हम इसमें देखें इस लिंक में हम कितनी बार बिटवीन नाम एंड रूपा एंड कॉन्शियसनेस हम स्विच किए हैं.
It's not only at the birth. It's not only at the birth that
एक सर हम रूप टू चित्तास भी आए हैं सर इस लिंक में.
इग्नोरेंस की तरह से आया
नाम रूप पच्चय सर
सलायतन 6 senses. सलायतन पच्चय फस, no problem. फस पच्चय वेदना, no problem. It's a universal factor. वेदना पच्चय तन्हा, ignorance.
बट अब सडनली सर रूप डोमेन से हम तन्हा पे आ गए ना.
वहीं पे आए ना. जो वेदना थी उससे मेंटल फैक्टर पे माइंड पे फील किया ना. माइंड फील्स थिंग्स ना. टिल वी हैव द बॉडी एंड माइंड तो इंटीग्रेटेड है ही है ना. प्रोड्यूस तो नहीं कर रहा ना, उसके ऊपर इंटरेक्शन कर रहा है ना.
सर इसमें बच्चे वर्ड
हाँ पच्चय डज नॉट बीइंग प्रोड्यूस. वो पच्चय तो कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है, उसको बाद में देखें. पच्चय मीन्स इट डिपेंडेंट ऑन. सलायतन पच्चय फस, फस पच्चय वेदना, वेदना पच्चय तन्हा. तो वेदना पे डिपेंडेंट है तन्हा, बट डिपेंडेंट प्रॉक्सिमेट कॉज क्या है तन्हा का? अविद्या. अविद्या नहीं होगी तो तन्हा नहीं जाएगी. So that's how the whole chain goes on. So we can see the whole sequence. So the main message, according to my understanding, is to distinguish between concept and reality. Because body is such a strong concept that we find it so difficult to get out of that.
So Sudhakar, matter arises in non-sentient stuff. Same happens in sentient beings. What exactly production of matter by consciousness mean?
It means that when in non-sentient, I think it will become clear when we see how does matter arise in non-sentient. It arises because of heat, that temperature. Various factors arise, and that's how the matter arises from there. In sentient beings, in addition to those reasons, there is an additional reason of consciousness. It produces. We think something, and the body gets powerful. Yes. So again, how do we get it? Isn't it? We get angry and this happens. We want to shout and then certain things, changes happen in the body and the sound comes out. So that's the way. You can easily feel your intentions are producing. Intention means sankhara. Sankhara pacchaya vijnana. and Jnana Pratyaya Nama. This can be easily felt every time it happens. So that is a key thing which you have to see, that distinction between concept and reality. So body is a concept, I am a concept, everything which we see in the world is a concept. Reality is these dhammas, chitta, chetsika, rupa, they are the reality. Various kinds of things which we are studying. And we come to the last slide. Next. The first three ultimate truths, chitta, chetsika and rupa, they form what are merely conventional truths called human being or a deva or animal. These are the realities, other things are appearances. And without this understanding, we remain shackled and bound and trapped, chained by ignorance. We think, मैं तो हूँ ही, बाकी सब है कि नहीं. So we get into trouble. And ignorance in turn gives rise to craving. And we live perceiving, thinking and viewing body and mind as mine, I, myself, with craving, conceit and wrong views. Such clinging is the truth of suffering. Panchupadana Khanda. The moment we cling, I am a person, I am a good handsome person, I am an ugly person, I am heavy, I am fat, I am this, I am that. We're trapped. So this is what we learn from the fundamentals of all what we have done. Because other than Chitta, Chetsika and Rupa, there is nothing which comes within our experience. ठंडा लेंगे, गरम लेंगे.
ग्रीन टी बना दो गीता. ग्रीन टी.
So this concludes our discussion on fundamentals. Then we'll start discussing applications. So if you have any questions, our friends have any questions, Deepak has any questions, you are welcome. This whole issue of personhood has to be seen through. It has to be seen through. You can't destroy it. It has to be seen through. And seen through her as a ठीक है, it's a अच्छी कहानी. If you see through that, you're substantially free. The more you see, the less trapping. Surfing है, ये वो. Slowly get free from it. बाकी फिर practice रह जाता है. Once you understand the fundamentals, rest is a matter of practice. In tune with this fundamental, if you understand that thoroughly.
So Dakar is saying something in a lighter moment. So he said, got it now, understand what produces chai.
Yes, you're right. Good friends, thank you. See you next time then. Have a great question.
So is global warming also because of mental anger?
Yeah, there are, I didn't add that part. I think in notes में कहीं डाला हुआ है. There's a sutta of Buddha, you know, when the kings become unrighteous. हमने पढ़ा था ना शायद, no? When the kings become unrighteous, the elements become unbalanced, and then there are famines and droughts and floods and earthquakes and. So when it starts from kings and obviously goes on to the subjects, the whole country, but it starts from kings. इसलिए वो वहाँ की उस समय भी एक परसेप्शन था कि अगर ड्रॉट हो रहा है तो किंग को कहा जाता था भैया किसी संतवंत को बुला लो. जैसे वो है ना अपना कौन सा चैंटिंग जो करते हैं रतन सुत्ता, उसकी स्टोरी यही है ना रतन सुत्ता की भी. तो वैशाली में बिल्कुल अब दुर्भिक्ष आ गया, बुरी हालत हो गई. तो राजा को कहा भैया तुम जाओ भगवान बुद्ध को रिक्वेस्ट करो, आए वो तुमको आशीर्वाद दें, यहाँ पे बहुत अधर्म फैला हुआ है इसलिए ये हालत हो रही है. So then Buddha comes at his request and chants the Ratana Sutta, and then everything is finished. Famine, drought, everything goes, rains falls, and So that's why falling of rain at a proper time is seen to be a very crucial aspect of balance of the elements of nature. Well, it seems like superstition. I didn't discuss it, but that's the way Buddha explains it.
So that is saying like Goenkaji also mentioned the story in the Granth.
Yeah, one story of that kind is mentioned. But there's a sutta of that. Ratan Sutta is chanting as we do it as a regular. So you remember the qualities of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and that clears the kind of obstruction in the mind. I mean, if you take it purely on logic, then also you can understand. When people become greedy, they want more production, more goods, more carbon dioxide, global warming, all of this. When they become greedy, then there is fear, then there is violence, then there is crime, then there is terrorism. You can see that. When there is delusion, terrorism is a direct cause of relation to delusion. Delusion and poverty, they are two causes of terrorism. You really see that. So the fact that elements are getting disturbed is also partly, some would say totally because of that reason. At the root cause of the problems lie the three poisons. Yes, greed, hatred and delusion. They are the three things which are creating all the complications which you see today. It is violence or crime or the weather change, climate change, everything. The root of that is that needs a bit deeper reflection to see that it is true. They would even give an explanation. आप रूट कला आप ऐसे ही पैदा कर रहे हो अग्नि धातु प्रदर्श हो रही है तो गर्मी होगी तो सारे लोग अगर गुस्से वाले हैं सड़क पे सब एक दूसरे को मार ही रहे हैं तो अग्नि धातु के प्रदर्शन हो रहा है वो बढ़े जा रहा है तो ग्लोबल वार्मिंग ही होगी. That's the another way of understanding from the dhatu Vivanga's perception.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
Professors?